Along with meteorologist Nicholas Herboso updating you on what's happening with severe weather in our area. We have our first tornado warning of the night, and this one not yet in our forecast area, but it's on its way to clipping northwestern Jackson County. So we have a possible tornado right here to the north and west of Biloxi and up along I-10, and it's moving up through Harrison County, and it may clip the northwestern sections of also there up towards Jackson County as it moves on off towards the north and the northeast, and it is racing off to the northeast as well. The area of concern is going to be located about right here, and that volume scan just updated. So this is the thunderstorm, and then your rotation area is going to be right here near Lamy Bridge Road as it tracks on off towards the north and east. So we are looking at the possible tornado there here in parts of Harrison County, and that's going to bring your possible tornado up along Highway 15, and then once it gets over here around Highway 57, it will be in an area that we're responsible for coverage for here on Fox 10. And so while this is not a direct threat to Mobile County and Baldwin County, it ultimately could end up in southern George County if it holds together. And right now we are looking at some rotation down here to the north and west of Biloxi. I want to give you an overview once we take a look at this area of concern. Possible tornado right here. You've got D'Iberville right there, and it's tracking to the north up past the back bay of Biloxi and headed up towards Highway 67 and also Highway 15. And this area of rotation is going to generally stay on the west side of the Pascagoula River Delta as it heads up west of Van Cleve and lives to the north across parts of Jackson County. Now, while we've got you here, I want to go ahead and show you what's happening everywhere, and we are seeing a big change as we expected after midnight here tonight for the potential of severe weather in our area, and we have multiple counties under severe thunderstorm warnings. We just had a wind gust at Mobile Regional Airport, and that was not even in an area of concern for potential severe thunderstorms of 68 miles an hour. So we're going to see some power outages just from the winds, and this is an incredible system. We're getting up here into southern Washington County, up into central Clark County and Monroe County. This is one large severe thunderstorm warning here with a core of very intense lightning and heavy rainfall that's going on. And here south of Chatham, down 17, it's terrible in Tibby right now, and this is going to continue up through Wagerville and up into Jackson and affecting Grove Hill. Tornado possible within this area, and certainly a considerable severe thunderstorm threat. I mean, if you can look at it and say, hey, at Mobile Regional, it wasn't even a severe thunderstorm. We got a gust of 68. You can see that we've got the potential wind gust over 70 miles per hour here with these storms along Highway 84, Highway 43, and Highway 45. Then we have our tornado warned storm that's right here near Biloxi. It's tracking up into northwestern Jackson County. And it still is a little ragged looking in its appearance, but you can sort of make out a bit of a hook signature here. We do not see an area of rotation that's clearly defined, but we may still be getting some rotation here on the southern flank and the southwestern flank of this thunderstorm here right near Highway 15. And we're going to watch this thing as it moves to the north and see if the warning is continued as it gets up into an area that's under the responsibility of the National Weather Service office out of Mobile. The issuing office on this is the National Weather Service out of New Orleans, and checking out the track on that generally towards Bendale and Lucedale, but we'll have to see if we still have rotation by the time it gets a little closer to George County and see what the National Weather Service out of Mobile decides to do with this one. We've also seen some rotation out into the Gulf off of Horn Island, and right now that is not as pronounced as it was earlier, but that is coming in near Pascagoula. So we're going to watch this area here too that is coming ashore. We had a special marine warning up for that one, and it's remarkable that at midnight we didn't see much going on down here over the Gulf, and now all of a sudden it's lighting up like crazy. And these storms are coming into Mobile. We're getting moderate thunder showers in Mobile right now, and we're going to see wind gusts over 50 miles an hour even if we don't get warnings up. We got a bad one coming through Grand Bay right right now, and that's headed up towards Mobile Regional, starting to see some rain here. If you're in southern Baldwin County, it won't be long. The weather's going to start going downhill the eastern shore. We've got some thunderstorms coming in there that are also worth keeping an eye on. Down around Foley, Gulf Shores, Seminole, everything looks okay for now, but definitely active weather. And we have a very high risk of potential strong tornadoes tonight and severe thunderstorms tonight. So we're going to keep a crew here overnight. We're going to be watching this both on our Fox 10 weather app, online, and also here on Fox 10 News. And I'm here with meteorologist Nicholas Herboso. We're both watching this situation really unfold because the last hour things have really ramped up. We've got temperatures up to 70 degrees after being in the 50-degree range at 5 o'clock. So temperatures are coming up. The atmosphere is getting more unstable. Nicholas?
Yeah, we expected this to happen. Of course, we really ramped up our messaging today because we knew we would have the potential for some very strong thunderstorms. And a little information, once again, we have a tornado warning that has been issued, and this will continue until 1 a.m. And it's for storms that are now moving into in fact, here you can see, if we can switch that, actually, forgive me, to max 1 instead of max 2. I haven't set up max 2 just yet. There we go. So you can see that tornado warning there. It goes until 1 a.m. And Jason, I have this pulled up so you can see this too, but this thing is moving northeast at 80 miles per hour. The warning
no question. I mean, it's mind-boggling how fast these storms are moving. So if you do get under a warning tonight, you're not going to have much time to prepare.
Yeah, no, it's very incredible to see how fast these storms are moving. As you mentioned, we have had some significant gusts of wind recently, and I want to go really quickly to just the kind of current conditions. I want to take a setup through what we have going on right now, since that tornado warning seems to be generally a little bit weaker, but still, once again, a tornado warning continuing for western Jackson County. I want you to take a look at these temperatures, and as you can see, we have gotten to 71 degrees in Mobile. 71 in Pascagoula, 70 in Gulf Shores. That is a drastic increase from the temperatures that we were at earlier. That means the warm front has passed through. That means the warm, moist air is in our area, and that is the fuel that we need for these thunderstorms to get going, and they have been getting going here. Let's take a look at the dew points as well. This is, of course, essentially a measure of moisture, and the higher these numbers go, closer to 70, that is a significant thing. And we can see we're in upper 60s for dew points right now. And as Jason mentioned, the winds, which are cranking right now. This is the view, the wind out of Mobile right now, out of the south at 30 miles per hour sustained. At Fairhope, at the Fairhope Airport, 30 miles per hour sustained. Gulf Shores, 23 miles per hour sustained. Pensacola, 28 miles per hour sustained. Let's go to the gusts, shall we? How about 52 miles per hour at Mobile? As we mentioned, we had a gust up to 68 miles per hour. Once again, this is not with thunderstorms. As we mentioned, we would have significant winds today, and that is exactly what we're observing outside of the thunderstorms. 45 miles per hour at the Fairhope Airport. A gust to 33 down in Gulf Shores. So a very significant wind event going on right now outside of the thunderstorm. So something that we're having to watch very, very closely. Let's go back to the radar and check in at what we have going on here. Once again, a tornado warning continues for Jackson County. This will continue until 1 a.m. And as you can see, a little bit of lightning with this thing, and I'll zoom into it once again, going until 1 a.m. here. And we are going to have all of these storms that are rotating. This storm has now gotten more into Jackson County here. And you can see in the bright reds and the reflectivity, that's where we have heavy rain. And you can see this kind of hook shape to the storm. And that's what we're going to be watching for very, very closely. We're going to be watching for these storms that have this shape. And if any of these storms can become more robust, then we will watch for the potential of tornadoes. And as we have mentioned, there is that potential for some significant tornadoes. This is the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. They are watching this area very, very closely. If any of these cells, if any of these storms, any of this convection can get going and become particularly strong, then we will watch for the potential of tornadoes, some stronger tornadoes. I do want to go through this. We've been showing the tornado index, the significant tornado parameter, regularly today. And this is the latest model run of it, and we've had some increase in numbers here. At 2 a.m., the HRRR, which is a high-resolution model, putting STP values, significant tornado values of a very significant 6 through Baldwin County, Escambia County, Florida, and then it increases to a maximum of 10 in Baldwin and Escambia counties there. Now, that does not guarantee a tornado at all, but it is a very significant number to see. Jason, this is a very significant thing.
Yeah, I've never seen it that high, and so we've got to watch out really closely as this thing unfolds here across the area tonight. The potential for strong tornadoes, not just weak spin-ups, but possibly EF2 or stronger tornadoes, and they could be very problematic. We'll be watching the Panhandle, southern Baldwin County, and the entire area. Now, right now, what we're looking at is this hook signature that Nicholas talked about, and it is moving so fast it's about to run out of the box. Well, this warning is in effect until 1 o'clock, but within the next 8 minutes, this thing may be up into George County, and we'll see if the National Weather Service out of Mobile continues it. Right now, we do not see any well-defined rotation within this particular signature here. You would be looking for a tight rotation area somewhere right in here, and so far we're not seeing that. So we'll keep watching it and seeing if this will be continued. But it is technically in an area where we may have some viewers here in Jackson County over the western side of Mobile, of Jackson County. We actually have more people who get us on antenna out here on the east side of Jackson County, but the west side of Jackson County, a lot of this goes over into a different TV market, but it's close enough, and it is one county over from Mobile County, so certainly we're very concerned about what happens here, regardless of whether viewers are able to see us or not, because it'll end up in counties in our area, whether it be a storm that heads up into George or heads over to Mobile. We have a strong signature, a thunderstorm here that is firing around Pascagoula. No sign of any rotation with that right now, but we're going to watch that because there was some rotation with it when it was out over the Gulf, when it was out near Horn Island. This is that nasty thunderstorm, which is without a doubt reaching severe limits. I mean, we're seeing thunderstorm wind gusts above 60 miles an hour, and we're not even getting thunderstorms in places. So when you get into one of these things, it is really going as far as the potential winds. We've got really heavy storms going on way up here. We've got a little rotation too, it appears. This is going to be right on the edge of the range of the radar up near Franklin and Beatrice. We have a rotating element there that's likely producing thunderstorm winds. Then from Grove Hill on 43 down to Jackson, it would be the absolute worst time to take a drive on 43 between McIntosh and Grove Hill. This is just a terrible storm here. Intense lightning, rainfall rates of about 2 to 3 inches per hour, and looking at intense winds within this thunderstorm line that's going to be along Highway 43 back here into central and southern Washington County, and then that continues. And now it looks like we actually have a thunderstorm warning that's picking up Mobile County now, it appears, Nicholas. So now Mobile County is going to be included in a thunderstorm as well as Greene County and George County. And there may be a point where just about every county in our forecast area is under some kind of warning tonight. We are looking at more intensity coming in around Mobile Regional Airport. We've got another heavy storm. So if you're in Mobile, West Mobile, and you're waking up to heavy rainfall, fortunately not a lot of lightning strikes with this one yet. We are getting some rumbles in Grand Bay. You may be waking up to intense thunderstorms there. This is interesting to note here that the National Weather Service out of New Orleans has trimmed the County of Harrison out of the warning box, out of the polygon. It still is going to include the potential for a tornado in parts of Jackson County until 1 a.m. But so far, we've not seen the National Weather Service out of New Orleans continue it. So there may be some rotation down here on the southern end. We'll watch it, and if it gets to the point where we think there's a tornado, we may see a warning continued or added for George County, Mississippi. So far, we don't see that. And so this is definitely going to be something that we'll be watching. And this is just a primer to remind us that this could be a very active night. You're starting to see a little rotation on the bottom end of it, Nicholas. Yeah, right here, we're watching some rotation on the bottom end of the storm as it's lifting across Jackson County, and it's not going to be in Jackson County much longer. Won't be long. This will be up into George County. So let's see if this continues to the northeast or to the northeast at about 80 miles an hour. What would be ahead of the path of this thing? And we're basically talking about southwestern George County and eventually up towards Lucedale. And it's almost hard to make the fan go out in an 80-mile-per-hour swath, but if it held together, it would be in Lucedale around 1 o'clock. So you see the warning is for Jackson County, but with an 80-mile-per-hour forward speed, it could be potentially up around Leakesville by 1:15. Now that's way out. A lot can happen between now and then. That's quite a distance, so we'll see if the rotation is considered to be tornadic once it gets over into the new forecast area here in George County. Right now we are not seeing that, but what we are seeing is that we've basically gone from 0 to 60 with the storms out there tonight. It has been a very rapid acceleration of the storms across our area. We've gone from just about nothing to rotating storms, numerous showers and storms, much stronger wind gusts, and that ramp up to the severe potential that we expected after midnight tonight is happening. Our peak wind gusts now are between 50 and 60 miles an hour throughout the course of the day. We are looking at wind gusts still in the 28 to 29 mile per hour range, and that's just really, you look at this, as you look at the peak gusts now, look at that, the 53, those were your sustained winds. These are the gusts. The current gust, just had a current gust of 53 miles an hour at Mobile Regional Airport, and that is a verified ASOS station. That is a reliable report of the winds, Nicholas.
Yeah, and as this kind of tornado warning continues, we're going to keep our eye on it. But once again, we have a significant issue with strong winds ongoing across the Fox 10 viewing area. As we see there, 53-mile-per-hour winds sustained in Mobile there. So there you can see it. Now, I want to bring some reports along to you, and I know we're monitoring the causeway where we have flooding ongoing, and I know, based on what I'm seeing from the traffic in, oh my goodness, that is incredible. The causeway looks to be completely overtaken at that point. It looks like we still have some people on the roads there, and that is an incredible picture. And with that, we have actually gotten some reports from Algo Traffic. There's an accident on US 98 near Snow Row and Sims. Stranded vehicle in floodwater on Causeway, 1 mile east of I-10 Bayway.
Right. Very dangerous.
Yes.
And then tide is basically at its peak right now.
Yes.
This is not unlike what we would see in a tropical storm. We've seen storm tides right now about 3 feet above normal. The tide is way above normal because the winds are out of the south. It is pushing the water up the bay, and you can see the overwash there. This is really remarkable stuff for a wintertime system.
To continue on those reports, a tree down on the roadway, County Road 39 at Pine Road in Stapleton. Once again, if you have any of these, if you are in a place where you're seeing damage ongoing, highly recommend that you send a picture to us, either on social media. I'm monitoring social media right now. In fact, I have about 6 computers in front of me, all with social media or some kind of communications pulled up. Or you can send it to us on fox10tv.com. That's kind of a quick way for me to get it in and get it on air. So that's just something that we're thinking about right now. We have dangerous road conditions on top of that severe weather threat that is ongoing at this time. Speaking of the severe weather threat, I want to go ahead and revisit the radar real quick and just take a checkup of what's going on. This is now on Max 1, the live radar. You're looking at the peak wind gust there, and you can see it's very, very high. But let's take a look at the current radar situation here, and I'll put this into motion. We have now numerous showers and storms that are developing. This is something that we expected to happen. Our forecast model showed this very well. Now the live picture, we have a tornado warning that's just now wrapping up in northern Jackson County. I think this tornado warning, I have not seen any comments on this from the National Weather Service in Mobile. And based on current presentation, it looks like there still is rotation ongoing. If you can see kind of at the edge of this polygon, and I'll draw it out for you, this is a very, very small area of rotation. The red, the wind is going essentially from right to left on your screen. The green is going from left to right on your screen. And you can see winds that are rotating in this area at this time. However, the rotation does look to be somewhat weak. We also have a hook presentation, which if you've been sharp eye here, you may have noticed that a lot of these storms have a hook on them, and that's just because of the wind shear dynamics that are in the atmosphere right now that's allowing for these storms to take on this shape, and that's why we're having to watch these so closely. So this storm has now moved out of the tornado warned area completely. I do not know what Slidell is doing at this second. I'm sure that warning is about to go away. But we do still have very impactful weather going on. A lot of rain now moving into Mobile and Baldwin counties. And one more report a couple more traffic reports to put along here. Low-hanging power lines. Blackwell Nursery Road, just north of the 90-degree curve. Road closed. That is Nursery Road.
That's out in Sims, and we've had that report out near Natchez Highway in Wilmer of a tree down across a car with possible entrapment there. It is treacherous for travel tonight because we're getting a lot of trees down in the forecast area, and this is where we were concerned we would have the potential issues that we've got going on right now, is that we may see a lot of tree damage and power outages because of tree damage. And some of this is happening in severe storms, and some of this is happening outside of severe thunderstorms just from the intense winds and the pressure gradient that's set up with this area of low pressure, which is basically a tropical storm type force area of low pressure that's going on to our north and west. So you can look at this. Look at it ramping up here. I mean, it didn't look like anything out over the bay. This is a 1-hour loop, and you take about the last 10 or 15 minutes and look at this cell coming in over the Bayway or the Causeway, and that's where we're seeing, coastal flooding. But then you get up on the Bayway, you've got a crosswind, very dangerous. You can see winds gusting over 50 miles per hour with this cell here as it lifts to the north. Heavy rain for Spanish Fort, and this thing's moving at 80 miles an hour. So you get a heavy downpour, you get a break, and then you get another one. And it's not like we're going to see one thunderstorm and then we're going to get a break and then we're going to get a main squall line. We're going to see multiple scattered strong to severe thunderstorms this evening, with the possibility of tornadoes popping up really at any time within this. So that's why we're on here tonight on Fox 10 News at this late hour. We do technically still have a tornado warning for northwest Jackson County. We expect that to expire here within the next 6 minutes, and we don't expect it to be continued into George County, Mississippi, based on what we're seeing right now. What we do have is a terrible thunderstorm complex that stretches from Lucedale to Leakesville to just between Chatham and Jackson. Wagerville right now getting clocked in Washington County, and then right here into Jackson proper along the Tombigbee and Highway 43, we are getting a very intense thunderstorm. This one's a doozy here, and it stretches from Wagerville up to Jackson and continues in a line up Highway 43 to Grove Hill. Highway 43 is in bad shape right now for travel conditions. The potential for flooding, heavy rain, lightning, and very gusty winds within this severe thunderstorm here into parts of Washington County and back up into Clark County. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a PDS thunderstorm warning here out of this or out of any of these thunderstorms that pop up tonight, just because the ingredients in the atmosphere for wind gusts up above 70 miles an hour are very likely. Most of these are saying considerable threat. Severe thunderstorm warnings that are going on Clark and Monroe, and also up here into Clark and then back into Washington County. So current time is 12:55. Looks like the National Weather Service out of New Orleans, for whatever reason, is going to hold on to this warning for a little while longer in Jackson County, but the National Weather Service out of Mobile, which is a different office, never continued this thing on up into George County. They're kind of seeing the same thing we saw so far. No sign of a tornado headed up into George George County, which is at least good for the temporary situation. But we all have the potential of tornadic weather overnight tonight. Tornado watch in effect until 7 a.m. And we've got this juicy air here, Nicholas. I mean, we had temperatures at 5 o'clock at 50 degrees. I mean, 50 on the nose. And now it's come up 21 degrees at night. We talk about in the forecast that you'll have what you call an upside down day. This is a meteorologist Matt Barentine term, where it's actually warmer first thing in the morning and then it gets colder as you go through the day because a cold front comes through. Well, the opposite has happened tonight. The temperatures have jumped 21 degrees tonight because we've seen a surface warm front cross the area. So we've seen an upside down night across the Gulf Coast, and that's an understatement. And this is something we watch for. A lot of times we'll get a severe weather threat in January and the dew points just aren't supportive. We don't have enough juicy air. We don't have enough instability to create severe weather. And we've got a dew point at 70, which is a very high number for this time of the year. It's not a summertime dew point, but it's really close. In fact, it's more like a June dew point that we're seeing out there right now. So we're getting all the ingredients for severe weather tonight, and these are our current sustained winds. It is sustained at 35 miles an hour at Mobile Regional out of the southeast, and you can see why we're having the overwash. What's going on? The winds are out of the southeast across the Gulf, northern part of the Gulf of Mexico, and up into Mobile Bay and in Pensacola Bay, and that's driving in basically a storm tide or a surge, so to speak, into Mobile Bay, into Mississippi Sound, across Dauphin Island, and that's why we have a moderate coastal flood event unfolding tonight. Fortunately, low tide is tomorrow morning, so the tide's trying to fall, but the wind keeps driving the water up. Ultimately, the astronomical tide will pull this thing down a half a foot to a foot or so here later tonight. That's crazy. Look at that, Nicholas. 60. We keep going between 50 and 60 miles an hour with our wind gust. We got a wind gust of 60 miles an hour at Mobile Regional Airport, and we don't even have a thunderstorm warning up right now. And that just shows you how things are really rocking and rolling with the atmosphere tonight. So we got something new that just popped up. The National Weather Service did report that 68 mile per hour wind gust. That is validated there. So that's going to be our peak non-thunderstorm wind gust of the event so far. Did we just, oh, that's 60. I thought I saw 80. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. So 60 mile per hour. We didn't go to 80 yet, but definitely terrible. That was at 12:21 this morning that we saw 68 miles an hour. Right now we've got a wind gust at a very robust 60 miles an hour. So it is a very dangerous situation with the wind blowing like it is. We still have tornado warning in effect for about another minute in Jackson County. Once that is allowed to expire, we'll likely go back to programming. We're going to come right back on as soon as we see anything tornadic. Very active, and this was an opportunity for us just to kind of give you an overview of what's going on, and don't be surprised if we're back on air in very short order. Looking at the thunderstorms coming up through Mobile County and over into Baldwin County right now here just north of Spanish Fort. So we've got plenty of active weather across the Gulf Coast here tonight. Current time is approximately 1 a.m. and so you've got one more thing to say?
Jason, I've got one more thing here.
Just real quick.
I'm monitoring our social media comments on Facebook. We are also live streaming this coverage on Facebook, and a couple people are noting that power is out in Mobile. And this is going to be something tonight. And I just want to go ahead and say this. When we have the power going out, you're going to need ways to get warnings, because you can see on this radar picture how many little storms are out there and how many of them have kind of a suggestive look of spin. They have that kind of kidney bean shape. So you're going to need ways to get warnings tonight. If you still have power, make sure that you are charging your devices, and make sure your devices are turned on so that you can get warnings. You can also scan that QR code in the bottom of your screen and get our Fox 10 weather app. And that is a great tool to have Great tool to have. So make sure you have your devices charged overnight tonight, as this is beginning to get a little bit active here. At least there's a lot more in the way of thunderstorms out there, and our winds are just continuing and continuing to increase. So once again, highly recommend that you get the Fox 10 weather app, and I'll pull the QR code up full screen for you. So here it is. Here's the QR code. If you have not downloaded the app, grab your phone, point it to the camera, or point it with the camera to the screen, and you will be prompted to download the app. There you will get the alerts, and you can actually double check the alerts as well within the app. If you press the little 3 bars in the corner of the app, you can double check to make sure you have those alerts turned on. I also highly recommend, I'll leave this up for a little while longer, I also highly recommend that you double check to make sure your wireless emergency alerts are turned on your phone. That is a very important thing as we go through this evening. And you can go into your phone's settings to do that. And let me double check to see if I can pull that up.
While we're talking about this, this is an advantage to have the app, because not just if you lose power, but what happens if you get a warning? One of the most significant things about severe weather is just not knowing what's happening. And if you have to go into your safe space because you have a tornado warning, you can't take your TV with you. It just doesn't make sense. But you can take your smartphone or your tablet with you, and you can continue to watch our coverage online, and you can get that through the Fox 10 app. So you can stay connected with what's going on, even if you have to go into shelter at some point tonight. We'll walk you through it. We can tell you the areas that are being affected and the areas that are not, so you know when you need to go in shelter and when you're safe to go out of shelter, at least temporarily. We may see multiple warnings in our area tonight. Right now, we are no longer under a tornado warning for Jackson County, so we're going to keep a very close eye on radar. We're both watching this very closely here tonight, and we're going to have a crew here all night and into the early morning hours to keep you safe, and we'll have updates to come, most likely, unfortunately, here on Fox 10 News.